Hi. Have you ever been driving your vehicle and you needed to change lanes, and it just so happened that there was a trucker with a large buffer space in front of their vehicle and you just zoomed right in there? Or maybe it wasn't a large space and you still zoomed right in there. Well, let me tell you what. I lost two friends when I was younger to being crushed to death, both car and people, between two trucks. Now, I wasn't there. I didn't observe the accident. I did not see the police report. I'm only theorizing on the cause of the accident, and that is that they squeezed into a space that was too small, that did not give the trucker enough time to react, let alone stop in time to prevent the accident from occurring. Now, you may look and you may say, well, there's like 6 car lengths between the truck and the vehicle in front of it. That's not enough. Okay? More generally, I want you to remember that if you're considering moving into a space in front of a vehicle, remember, number one, is the driver of that vehicle aware that you're doing it, or did you just suddenly swerve? If you just suddenly swerved into that lane because you're an idiot, and I'm sorry you are, if you're not bothering to signal and let that driver know you're going to move, you're putting them and you and other drivers at risk. So you're an idiot. Number one, make sure that they know you're moving. They may let you in, they may not. Doesn't matter. Your life and their life, more important. Okay? Number two, how fast are you and that vehicle moving? Because the faster they're moving, the longer it's going to take them to stop. Rule of thumb, make sure you have a buffer space of 3 seconds at least in good weather with good tires and good brakes. If you have bad weather, depending on what kind of weather, you may have to increase that to 4, 5, 6, maybe even 10 seconds. If it's icy, a lot more space. Please don't be an asshole and, pardon me, YouTube. Please don't be an idiot and by actually managing to make a minimal space between yourself and the vehicle in front when there's lots of ice. You're just asking for trouble. Okay? Number 3, how big and more importantly, heavy is that vehicle? The big part applies more to the possibility of it fishtailing. The heavy part applies to how fast, once the driver has noticed that you're being an idiot, and they finally apply the brakes before the vehicle actually stops. So how much big of a chance is there that that vehicle is going to actually hit you, hurt you, kill you? Now remember, you're not the only driver on the road along with them. There are other drivers, so you may actually end up causing damage or harm or death to other drivers. It could be a 50-car pileup because you were a moron. Don't drive that way. Always remember, especially when it's a semi-trailer, when it's a 2-part or 3-part tractor trailer, you do not want to get in that buffer space. Now, I mentioned about seconds. There's an easy way to know about seconds. So you look at the vehicle and you look at what's not moving at a certain point where and as soon as the vehicle passes, whether you can, obviously it's going to be easier to notice when it is abreast of the back of the vehicle. So here's the vehicle, here's the object. Maybe it's a signpost, maybe it's one of those strips of paint on the road, whatever it is. When you notice the car's back end is passing that, you start counting from 0, not 1, 0. So 0, 1,000, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, and try to pace it, okay? Not quite so fast, maybe. But if you can get to 2, 3, 4 seconds, depending on your vehicle's weight, your vehicle's tires and brakes, and the weather conditions, you should be okay. But what about the vehicle behind you? Have you given them enough space? Are they tailgating morons too? Because then you're in more trouble. The chances are much higher you're going to get hit if they're a tailgating idiot. And trust me when I say there are more tailgating idiots on the road than non-tailgating idiots on the road. And non-idiots on the road. Believe me, I know. I used to be not a tailgating idiot. I used to do other stupid things, but I see it constantly. I see people traveling half a car, 1.5 cars, 2.5 cars, driving at 70 miles an hour on the highway behind another vehicle. Those are super idiots. They will eventually get in an accident. My former brother-in-law, he used to drive like that. And one day he got in an accident. He was a very good driver. He was very fast reflexes. But you can never be fast enough. And fortunately for him, it wasn't that bad of an accident. He didn't end up in the hospital or anything like that. But his driving changed miraculously after that one accident. And if your driving doesn't change after you do the same stupid stuff, well, then you deserve what you get. But the people around you do not. So stop being an idiot. Let me explain something to you. Let's talk about a car. And let's say that the car is moving at 43 kilometers per hour. Now I'm taking data off the internet here, okay? It will, and assuming that the reaction speed is the same, the reaction distance, which is the time times the distance traveled, or basically the distance traveled within the time before the driver reacts, will be about 17 meters. Now, keep in mind, I'm 6'1". 2 meters is about 7 feet tall, or 7 feet. Okay, so they will not stop until 26 to 30 meters. They will not come to a stop until 26 to 30 meters. 26 if the surface is dry, 30 if it's wet. Now, if it's icy, it's going to be a lot more than that. Now, let's just bump that up here. Let's almost double. We'll almost double that. Yeah, to 83 kilometers an hour, which is pretty slow, honestly, compared to, when you think about how miles feel versus how kilometers feel. Kilometers are definitely smaller, but and that's probably, I think, about 40-something, 50-something miles an hour. It'll take 33 meters before the reaction time expires, before the average driver actually reacts to you braking. Okay? And on a dry surface, it'll take about 89 meters to stop. On a wet surface, it'll take, not 89, 69. And it'll take about 85 meters on a wet surface. And on an icy surface, all bets are off. Now, if we go up to 112 kilometers an hour, and that's like 60-something miles an hour, I think, maybe close to 70, that reaction time will take 46 meters, I believe that says. That's a lot, okay? And 113 meters on a dry surface before that vehicle stops, if it's a car. 143 meters if it's a wet surface. And, you're well over 200 meters if it's an icy surface. So let me put things to you in a different way. Let's take a look just at trucks, because if you want to avoid death, the best thing to do is never cut off the buffer space of a trucker. So if you have a flatbed, empty truck, the double vehicle weight, okay, doubles your stopping distance. So if it's a flatbed versus a tanker, the tanker is going to take 2 times the distance of a flatbed. Now, it's not showing anything about like weights. This is just comparing dry, as far as I can tell anyways, it's comparing dry weights. or empty weight, I should say. However, if we double the vehicle weight, you double your stopping distance. However, if you double your speed, you quadruple your stopping distance. So if we take a tractor trailer pulling an enclosed cargo container of some kind and take it from, say, 40 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour, the distance before it can stop will be 4 times farther. Now, if we take that flatbed versus the trailer pulling the cargo container, maybe the same distance, probably not exactly the same distance, but again, if you're talking about full vehicles, it's going to be a lot more. Okay, so if you take a tractor trailer that's full, the distance is going to be much larger. If you take a tractor trailer that has more than one linked carriage that they're pulling. In America, I've only ever seen, I think the maximum I've seen is 3, but I usually only see 2. So there's the truck, and then there are 2 containers behind being pulled by the truck. If they have to stop, there's a high risk of the containers in a situation where the driver has to stop very, very fast, of those containers starting to swerve, starting to fishtail, and that can cause the whole thing to turn on the highway. And then a lot of vehicles become involved in the accident. Okay? I know in Australia, I have a friend in Australia. Hey, Phil. And in Australia, he sometimes drives triples. 3 cargo containers, which is, to me, is like, wow. I mean, that's, but they've got great wide open spaces with not as much traffic, I would imagine, on some of those roads. But still, that's, it takes a lot of skill to do that, Phil. Hats off to you. So let me see if I can find a little bit more data to help you to understand this just a little bit better. I'm looking for a really good one that can compare. Let's talk about motorcycles. A motorcycle. Now, I don't know the weight of the motorcycle, so my guess is it would be a standard size motorcycle. They're probably not talking about hogs or one of the other really large, like a Goldwing or something like that. I think it's just a standard size. If you're driving at 20 miles an hour, the stopping distance, 20 miles an hour is 32.19 kilometers per hour. Its stopping distance is 36.36 feet or 11.08 meters. If you are driving at 50 miles an hour or 80.46 kilometers per hour, then you will take, and I'm sorry, that's including the reaction time as well as the stopping time, okay? It'll be 144.43 feet or 44.02 meters. If you're driving at 70 miles an hour, which is 112.65 kilometers per hour, you're talking about 252.62 feet to stop or 76.99 millimeters, kilometers, or meters, sorry. Now, finally, not like anybody would ever drive over the speed limit, but if you're driving 80 miles an hour, that's 128.74 kilometers per hour, you will require, between reaction time and stopping, and we're assuming that you are not like high or drunk or something like that, right? And it's not wet or icy. 317.32 feet or 96.72 meters. Okay? Get that into your head. You're really putting yourself at risk when you put yourself in front of a large vehicle. You're putting that driver at serious risk. Now, if we talk about dollar value, your vehicle, I don't care if, unless you're driving like $1 million vehicle, gold-plated Rolls Royce or something insane like that, which I can't it wouldn't be solid gold because you wouldn't be able to drive it without like special tires. And even if the engine of the Rolls Royce could handle that, or the Excalibur from Wisconsin, or a Lotus, which is similar to like a Lamborghini in appearance, or one of the other really really super expensive vehicles like an F1 car, right? Even if you're driving one of those vehicles, there are trucks on the road pulling cargo that is worth far more. I mean, we don't even have to talk about oversized load vehicles. They're pulling potentially millions of dollars of cargo. So just talking about the value of the cargo you're putting at risk, plus the truck versus your measly vehicle, you're going to be paying for the rest of your life, one way or another. It could be your life that you're paying with. Okay? So always this is the first rule of driving. Oh, second rule. First rule is stay calm. Second rule is never, ever, ever cut off a driver of a large vehicle. The bigger they are, the more risk you are creating for them and for you and for other people on the road. So stop being an idiot. Stop acting as if you're the only vehicle driver on the road, and use what's in between your ears. Well, actually, it's mostly up here, not between your ears, unless you get your ears up here like this. Anyways, yeah. Stay alive, stay healthy, be respectful of other vehicles on the road, do not tailgate, and do not pull into a buffer zone of a truck unless you can leave them a huge gap of space. Okay? Thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.